Hi, I'm ZGALA, the Art Angel. You can call me Auntie Angel, and this is the part of the day where I share three things about three people who've inspired me in the last 24 hours. And as usual, I'm just speaking off the cuff, haven't even thought about it at all, but let's see who comes to mind today. First off is a friend of mine, Orry, who is mad at me right now, I think. But he inspires me because he cares really, really deeply. That's part of why he's mad at me, and that's okay. He also inspires me by being fit and free. He's very fit, exceptionally fit, and that's inspiring. And he is a creative spirit, a creator, if you will. He's got a YouTube channel, and he makes his own music and is living his own life in that way that only creative people can do. So that's three ways that Orry inspires me: by caring so very deeply that he often gets upset, by being exceptionally fit, taking care of his body, and by being a creative person. Another person who's inspired me in the last 24 hours is, I think, someone I've probably mentioned already before, but I'm going to mention again, and that's my housemate, Ben. Ben has been sober, coming up on 10 months now, I think, after more than a decade of not being sober. And it's not easy. And I'm inspired by the way he continues to show up for himself and keep his agreement with himself. So he's either on his way right now or already at one of his AA meetings, which he's been going to regularly. And yeah, that's inspiring. Another way that he inspires me is by fixing things. Who doesn't love a handy guy, right? He is almost constantly fixing things for other people. Luckily, he has a new job where he installs doors, and so he's fixing new doors into place. I don't know if that counts, but on the side, after work, he's almost always fixing someone else's car or his own car. He just put his favorite car into storage and got a more practical vehicle, and the brake line went out the first time he tried to take a friend out in it last night for 4th of July. And so he came home today from work and promptly got right on it and fixed that. And the rate at which he's fixing things for himself and other people is impressive and inspiring. And last but not least, another way that Ben inspires me is by being a genuinely nice person. He goes out of his way to be nice to me as his housemate. I've seen him go out of his way to be nice to strangers, all the way through, his mom and dad, his brother. He spends quite a bit of energy going out of his way to be nice to people, and not just fixing things for people, although that is one way that he's nice to people, but just giving a kind word here and there, sending a kind text to let somebody know that he thinks they're worthy of a kind text, which I think is inspiring. So there you have it. 3 ways that Ben inspires me: by staying sober when it's not easy and he knows that's what's right for him, by fixing things, being a handy guy, and by being extra kind and nice to people, going out of his way to show people kindness. I find those 3 things very inspiring about Ben. And I got a mosquito in here trying to get me. we could do a little bonus about how mosquitoes inspire me to be a killer. That's just silly. And to appreciate life. But that's not what I was going to talk about. Let's mention my son. That's who comes to mind, actually. And my son, Jake, is inspiring because he just went to a great Magic the Gathering tournament, which he's worked on a lot in his life, and got 10th place out of, I don't know, more than 1,000 people, maybe a few thousand people, which is inspiring in and of itself. And so that's one way that he inspires me, but it's also the reason he's able to do that is because he is committed to getting better. He spends a lot of his time and energy while still taking care of his bills and working. He also puts a lot of energy into thinking about strategy, and that's how he's become this great player. And he's done that for more than 20 years now, and he's not even 30 years old yet. So I think it's fairly unusual and very inspiring to see someone stick to something for that long, and I find that inspiring. And a third way that I find my son very inspiring related to those two things is that he's a very good sport. So even though he was undefeated and then he started to lose, and so he ended up in 10th place, he doesn't ever take a poor attitude about that. Maybe not ever, but at least that I've seen. He's always gracious to the other players. He's gracious to himself. He doesn't beat himself up when he doesn't do as well as he'd hoped, or at least he didn't this time. I think when I asked him about that, he said that he didn't feel like he'd made any big glaring mistakes, and that I asked him if it bothered him that he didn't get in that top 8 bracket. And it's not the first time that he's gone to one of these big tournaments, done fairly well, and then not quite made it into that top bracket where the prize money's better and the accolade, it's a accolade that he is seeking. And so it can be disappointing, right, when we get our sights set on something, when we work so hard for it, and then we come just so close but not quite get it. And while I'm sure there's parts of him that are disappointed, he doesn't spend time lamenting that, or again, he doesn't put himself down or other people down. He talks about how the players that beat him were probably better players and or got luckier with the cards that they got, because part of that game has to do with the luck of the draw, and part of it is how they play. And so he's just very gracious. He's a good winner and a good loser. He doesn't tend to gloat when he beats someone, and he doesn't tend to beat himself up or put people down when he doesn't win. And I find that very inspiring. So there you have it. 3 ways that 3 people have inspired me in the last 24 hours. I'd love to know what's inspiring you, who's inspiring you, and why. I do think that if we practice reflecting on what inspires us and hopefully sharing it amongst each other, that we can bring more of those qualities to the table ourselves, so to speak, and also just celebrate each other more for the things that we find inspiring. So I encourage you and welcome you to put some comments in the comments section about what's inspiring you or who's inspiring you. What do you find inspirational? I'd love to know. If you care to share, please do that. And as always, I thank you for stopping by. I thank you for being you and letting me be me. I hope that you will stay curious and courageous and hopefully get more fit so you can be more free. Remember, we're all in this together. You are enough exactly as you are, and probably you can do more than you think. So make sure and like and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you soon. Ciao for now. Look at that sunshine. This, by the way, is the Head Hutt Mega-Sculpture, which I built with these hands, and I wrote a book about it. You can find that on Amazon. And there are also There's a link to that and links to other ways that you can support me if you care to do that. I thank you if you do. Wishing you a beautiful day. Till next time. Ciao.